Well, recently I was watching a interview on a YouTube channel with Linda Moulton Howe, and she's a UFO investigator since the 1970s, and her forte is cattle mutilations and uh, how when a lot of people believe that cattle mutilations are caused, a lot of them are caused by extraterrestrials. And in this interview that she had online, she stated that back in 1980, in the late 70s, while she was investigating cattle mutilations, she produced a documentary called "The Strange Harvest," and that was on HBO in 1980. And in this documentary, she talked about cattle mutilations and how they're connected with UFOs and extraterrestrials. And at some point after this, she met up with some guy who was some official, a United States official who worked in the Pentagon, and this person was retiring, and they met for dinner or lunch or something. And this guy told her that. Now, this is something. Before we even get into this is something I'm not sure I believe this. It just sounds too fantastic. But maybe the whole subject of extraterrestrials is just too fantastic sometimes. But anyway, this guy told Moulton Howe, that the United States government actually has proof that there are three separate extraterrestrial species on this planet, and they've been here. Two of them have been here for 270 million years, and the third one came sometime later on, but they're here too for a long time, for millions and millions of years. They consider the Earth a laboratory, and the three different types of aliens include the Greys, reptilians, and Nordics. Okay, now she asked this guy, okay, well, how do you know that there's proof? What do you mean there's proof? And the guy said, well, I can't tell you that. If I tell you that, you'll be in trouble. I'll be in trouble. If that ever got out, there'll be big trouble. Now, this guy could have been pulling her leg. Just could have been, who knows? Could have been some misinformation guy, disinformation official, disinformation expert that was just feeding her a line. But just let's, for the sake of argument, let's say that this is true. Let's say that there are there's three competing alien entities, alien species that have been on Earth for 270 million years. Think about that, folks. 270 million years. It sounds insane, but who knows? What if it's true? So we're gonna operate here on the uh, we're going to move forward on this as though that's true. We're going to operate as though that's true, that there's three competing alien species on this planet. They use it as a laboratory, and they've been here for 270 million years. Okay. Now, let's go back to 1947, Roswell. I love talking about Roswell. I know a lot of people don't like talking about Roswell these days because there's been some, misinformation, disinformation over the years that, make it sound ridiculous sometimes. But if you, read the books on this subject, look at the actual transcripts from the interviews of with people that were actually witnesses. I mean, there were a lot of witnesses, like a lot of first-hand witnesses. There were a lot of second-hand witnesses, to the events of Roswell. Let's go back there. Like, okay, now, in 1947, July 1947, the Air Force released a press release that stated that it had recovered a flying disc. Okay, this was after months of people spotting flying saucers zipping through the sky, and all of a sudden the Air Force sends out a press release stating, yep, we got one, folks. We got a flying disc. Okay. And then less than 24 hours later, they reneged on that story, and they said that, no, it was just a weather balloon. It was all these experts that we have out there that, worked on the atomic bomb, and, that deal with weather balloons all the time, they somehow mistook this flying disc for a weather balloon. Okay, and then everything's forgotten for almost 30 years until Jesse Marcel Sr. told Stanton Friedman, the late ufologist and nuclear physicist, the late Jesse Marcel Sr. told Friedman that there's whatever was out there, it wasn't no weather balloon, and he's been waiting for years to find out what it really was, and no one's ever talked to him. No, he's never found anything out, and all these years have gone by. Well, let's suppose that what happened here is this. Like say Moulton Howe's story, the story that she heard is true, that aliens have been here for 270 million years. I mean, basically, imagine how advanced these things are compared to where we are. I mean, we must be like incredibly dumb, like from their view. I mean, 270 million years in technological advancements is just beyond anything. I mean, it's beyond. Now, what if this is what happened? And this is a disturbing theory that I'm not saying it's true or anything. I'm just throwing it out there. We're just for the sake of argument, we're saying that this story that Moulton Howe heard, sometime in the 80s, is true. Okay. So they're here for 270 million years, and all of a sudden, there's this crash in Roswell. We the government tells us, yeah, it's a disc, and then less than 24 hours, nope, just a weather balloon, nothing there, nothing to see here. Okay, what if this is what happened? What if when this happened, aliens actually visited the top officials of our government, actually somehow, went to our president at the time, Harry Truman, and basically said, hey, you got to cover this up, and you got to cover it up quick, right? Or else. I don't know what the or else would be. And that's why this is why the government decided to cover it up. What if it really had nothing to do with, how, trying to control panic, or, what if it had nothing to do with, trying to, reverse engineer alien technology and not letting anybody else in the world know about it? What if it had nothing to do with that? What if the reality is the aliens actually forcibly just showed up somehow? I mean, they can do anything. I mean, from my experience, they could be invisible, and they could be right there, right in front of you, and you don't even see them. And in one of my earlier podcasts, I talked about what happened when I was living in Hawaii, and a dog that I had just disappeared, vanished basically in front of my eyes, and then reappeared magically 2.5 hours later, right in front of my eyes. All right. And if you want to hear that podcast, you could. It's called the Disappearing Reappearing Dog, and it's on the Jim Quirk Show. You could, wherever you listen to your podcast, it's you can go to Spotify, or it's available in other places too. Anchor is where I recorded it. But what if they did that? Like, what if somehow these aliens actually infiltrated the most upper echelon of our government, and basically said, hey, you didn't get any disc, and you better tell the public that? What if the reason being is that the 270 million years here of experimentation and laboratory work that the aliens have been up to, this would overturn that apple cart, and they didn't want that to happen yet. So that's why this thing was hushed up from 1947, basically for years, for decades. We're just starting. The government's only just starting to peel the lid open a little bit for us, for whatever reason. Maybe the aliens tell them they're allowed to do that now. Maybe they want us to start knowing the truth. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe people in the government have been keeping this a secret, for all these years, because they're forced to. They have no choice. They had no choice from the beginning. And I know, of course, government officials come, government officials go. People die, and then new people come in, and there's certain new people that have to be told, and they're told why, and why this thing needs to be kept secret. So what if that's the purpose? It's the aliens who are responsible for the cover-ups all these years. That's who's behind this. I mean, if they're millions of years advanced, especially if they're 270 million years more advanced, then I mean, my God, they could do just about anything. We wouldn't, they could shut us off. A lot of these people who, lose time. I mean, how do you explain that? 4 hours goes, like they lose 4 hours of time, and then they don't have no idea what happened. They get hypnotized, and they're able to remember some of the things that happened, and they remember being aboard alien spacecraft. I mean, so the aliens, maybe this is the experiment, whatever their purpose is, who knows, right? But that's what this is all about. The aliens are actually controlling not just the United States government, but all governments, all top governments throughout the world. Basically, hey, this secret needs to be kept secret, or you're in trouble. And I don't know what the trouble or what the threat is, but who knows? Or, maybe the aliens, and maybe all of this is, maybe the aliens actually provided uh, the flying saucers that Bob Lazar saw back in the 1980s out there in S4 near Area 51 in the Nevada desert. Maybe they actually provided them to the government, because it's not that we're trying to it's not just us trying to reverse engineer it, but the more important thing could be that they want to see if we can figure it out. I mean, I just can't see, uh, people as not as like, so people that are so like us human beings who are so not as advanced as these alien races being allowed to reverse engineer flying saucers. I mean, if aliens would be able to figure this out, I mean, if they're that more advanced than we are, then they could figure it out. I mean, they'd know where they were. If they didn't want us to do that, they would just take them away. They would just, we're not going to let them reverse engineer our flying saucers. We'll just, we'll shut all their minds off, and we'll just go in there and just take them back. Apparently, that's not what's happened. So it goes back to what this guy, this top official who was retiring, told Linda Moulton Howe back in the day. If these things are 270 million years more advanced than us, and this whole thing is a laboratory to them, then we're like basically lab rats, and the joke's on us. That's why the secret. That's why he couldn't tell her about the proof. The proof could be the proof could be is that the aliens showed up, and somehow, like, maybe walked right past the Secret Service back in the day, right into Harry Truman's office, and sat him down and said, "Guess what, buddy? You better get on the horn and tell him what to do. This is who we are." I don't know how that would have been explained. It wouldn't have been like that, but whatever. Maybe they spoke to his mind. Maybe there were some other people there. Maybe the proof is that they have proof. Maybe it was filmed. Maybe it was recorded. I mean, I don't know how you have proof of that other. And how would you have proof of anything that's? Oh, yeah, we have proof. These aliens have been here for 270 million years, and we have proof. I mean, how would you obtain proof of that? The only way to get proof of that is from the aliens themselves somehow, right? They'd have to be telling you that and showing you some kind of proof, wouldn't it? I mean, we couldn't figure that out. There ain't some archaeologist out in the, running around the desert in New Mexico who finds some ancient artifact, and all of a sudden that's going to be proof. That somehow we're going to find that, look at that artifact and realize, boy, aliens have been here for 270 million years. Huh, I better go tell the president. No, I don't think that's how it would work. We wouldn't know that. The only way we know that is if the aliens told somebody that and actually provided some sort of, proof. It would have to be extraordinary, whatever it was. But if that's true, if that story is true, then that's what that means. Now, I'm not saying any of these scenarios are true. I'm just throwing that out there as a theory. It's a disturbing theory, but again, that could mean maybe this slowly, ripping up opening up the lid here a little bit is Maybe the top the faction in the government that knows about this, that knows that knows this story. There has to be some people. There has to be a little group. It's probably some scientists and top military, some people, and everybody else need to know. Maybe at this stage of the game, presidents aren't even told about this anymore. I mean, it's only a need to know basis. I don't think anybody would really need to know this, except that this secret has to be kept. There has to be some files somewhere that are just guarded, day and night somehow. Because this secret, if it's true, that would be devastating. That would be devastating if we're all just lab rats for extraterrestrials that have been here using us as a laboratory for 270 million years. And when we discovered these crash saucers, maybe, and let me just throw this out here to you too. Maybe that whole thing was a way of communicating. Maybe the crash saucer was a false flag operation by the aliens themselves to get the military out there. Who knows? Who knows? But it's something to think about. It's just, again, it's a theory. I don't really believe this theory. I'm just throwing it out there because based on listening to this interview that Linda Moulton Howe gave, I mean, if that's true, if what she's saying is true, I actually believe her research on cattle mutilations is spectacular. I mean, I believe that there are extraterrestrials involved in that. This guy who told her about the 3 different competing aliens that have been here for 270 million years. I don't know about that. That sounds like it could be some disinformation guy, just trying to feed her a line for whatever reason, trying to confuse the whole situation back in the day. Because believe me, there's people in the government that do disinformation campaigns against other people for various reasons. It's happened. It's a known fact. Anyhow, thank you for listening. And again, I don't know if I don't believe in this theory, but it is a theory. I mean, if it's something to consider that somehow the aliens have been pulling the strings from the very top for years, and they're still doing it, and our governments have been hogtied, and they haven't been allowed to disclose the truth. They're being forced to keep quiet about it, and it has nothing to do with what we think it has to do with, like trying to reverse engineer. Yeah, they are trying to do that, but they're doing it at the behest of the aliens themselves, because the aliens are interested in seeing whether we can do it and how long it will take us to finally figure this. How long is it going to take human beings to figure out how these alien spacecraft actually operate? Are we ever going to figure it out? How, like, that could be part of this crazy experiment, but who knows? Again, it's just a theory. I don't subscribe to that theory personally. It's just something that popped in my head after listening to that interview with Linda Moulton Howe. And I will leave a link to that video in the description if you're interested in watching that interview. And thank you again for listening, and talk to you again soon.